Hi everyone, this is episode 11 of our one bedroom house series, and today what we're going to do is to start working on our site plan. So what that means is that we're going to lay out what we want the site to look like. We're going to do some landscape work, plant some trees, some grass, add a couple other little things, to make it look like somewhere we would actually want to live. All right. Okay, so drawing your site plan can be another fun activity. So on a site plan, you get the opportunity to make the landscape exactly how you want it to look. So we get to add various trees, shrubs, hedging, gardens, driveway, pavements, pools, etc., etc. But for today's demonstration, I'm going to make it very simple. We're going to just do the basic stuff, and I might just add one and two little thing here and there, but nothing too deep. I leave that for you to experiment. All right. Now the question is, why do we need a site plan? The site plan is actually a very important plan, and the municipal corporation will need this drawing in order to know where the building is located on the site. They want to know if you are abiding by setbacks and zoning regulations. They want to see how the drainage is laid out. They want to see what the landscape looks like. All of that they want to see. Also, the site plan is being used by the contractor, because when the contractor is ready to lay out the building, he will need to know where to start laying out the building. You get what I'm saying? The site plan is also used by landscapers, the guys who are going to come in and plant the trees. They need to know where to plant which tree, where to put the pavement and all of that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? And also later on, the homeowner might want to do additions to the building or to sell the property, and this site plan would be required to do any of these tasks. All right. Now, with all of that said, let's get over into AutoCAD and see what we can do over there. All right, guys. So here we are back in the drawing. So if you remembered when we set up the project from day one, we had created a property boundary construct, and it would have been in this drawing that we would have created our property boundary. All right. So let me open this drawing up. And as you can see here, I already have a layout of the property that we're going to be placing the building on. I recently did a video on how to do this. So if you don't know how to do it, go and watch that video. So the diagram would be found on the surveyor's report, and we would use the bearings and the distances provided by the surveyor to get this diagram, because we need to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. All right. Now, the first part of this video that I'm going to be doing should have been done from even before we started to do the ground floor and the foundation. All right. This is something that I overlooked in the beginning of this project. So what I'm going to be doing is to split this video in two. So what I'm going to do first is to show you what we should have done from the beginning of the project, and then in part two, or the second half of this video, I'm going to be showing you what we would do after, which would be at this point in the project. All right. So after we have the drawing, the diagram looking like this, what we would do is to first thing I would say, set the scale. So make sure that your scale is 1/8, and this is equivalent to 1 in 100 if you're using millimeters as your units. This is like the regular scale that we use, because the building is really small. All right. If you had a very large building, then we would probably go for 1 in 16, which would be the same as 1 in 200, and so on and so forth. All right. So we're going to work with 1/8. Perfect. And the second thing we're going to do is to create some layers. All right. Remember that we're going to be placing trees, pavement, and so on. So we want to create a layer for all of these elements. All right. So I have my layers palette right here. If you don't know where to find it, it is right here. This little guy right here. Layer properties, and I actually have a video on how to create layers. So if you don't know how to create layers, check that video out. But for this video, I'm going to just go right ahead and create some layers. I'm going to put a S before all of them just to say this is a layer that is on the site plan. So the S represents site. All right. Put a dash, and the first one I'm going to create is the property line. I'm going to change the color to blue. Maybe that. You can choose the color you want. We usually use phantom for the line type, and the line weight I'm going to just set it at probably 0.4, and I'm going to create a new one, call this one setback, and I'm going to make this one red, and I'm going to change it from phantom to dash, and I'm going to make the line weight a little bit, probably 13. I think all the others are going to be 0.13. So create another one, call this one pavement, enter. I'm going to give this a gray color, and I'm going to make this continuous, and I'm going to leave it on the 13. Create another one, call this one vegetation, and of course the vegetation would be some sort of green color. Continuous 13, perfect. And then I'm going to create one last one. I'm going to call this one the road. And of course you can choose whichever color you would like, and the line weight is just about what I have here. You can work with the line weights, but as for the line type and the color, I would say try to adopt these ones until you're able to come up with your own style and technique. All right, so far we can see now that we have all of these layers inside of our drop down here. So the first thing we're going to do is to draw the road. So let's go to the road layer, and of course we want to represent as close as possible the width of the road, and if there's a sidewalk and that kind of thing. So for this diagram, I'm going to put a sidewalk of 5 feet. All right, and the road width would be 18 feet, and these would depend on the area. All right, so if it is a city area, you know, you would have a wider street and maybe a wider sidewalk. If it's a more residential rural area, you'd have a narrower street and a narrower sidewalk, and you might have sidewalks on both sides or on one side, whatever the case may be. All right, so make sure you go on the site and you try to get an accurate measurement. And so what I'm going to do now is to just offset, well, draw a line first here. Now let's turn the ortho mode on like that. Well, let me kind of stretch it out a little bit further off of that. And what I'm going to do is to offset the sidewalk from this line. So I'm going to make it 5 feet away from that, and then I'm going to offset another 18 feet, which would be the width of the road. So let's do offset again, 18 feet, enter, and then that would be the width of the road. Of course we could add another sidewalk here, but I don't care about this side of the road. I only care about this side right now, so I'm going to leave it right there. What I'm going to do is to get the center line in the middle of the road though, because that's going to be an important line that we will need later on in this video. All right, so we're going to do another offset, and the middle of that road would actually be 9 feet. All right, so there we have our 9 feet, and I'm going to actually change the line type here to dashed, so that it looks like how our road would look. Of course, the dash line would mean you can overtake here, which we don't know really. All right, so at this point we can see that we have the road. What I'm going to do here now is to change this property box to move it over to the correct layer, which will be the property line layer. And then where I'm going to explode it so I can work on each line individually. What I'm going to do also is to trim out this orange piece of the road so I can see the property boundary underneath. So I go to the trim tool, trim, I think this is it, trim. I'm going to select this and this, enter, and then I'm going to trim this guy out. So just like that, we can now see the property boundary underneath. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is to put our setbacks boundary in. All right, so for this drawing, or for this property, the setbacks are 5 feet from the sides, both sides, 15 feet from the back, and 20 feet from the center of the road on the front. All right. Now, these information, again, you would get from your local authorities. All right. These are very critical information, and I will explain some more later on in this video. So what I'm going to do is to do some more offsets. Again, notice we're using the offset tool very regularly here. So we're going to offset 15 feet on the back. Okay. And then it's going to be another offset, which would be 5 feet on the sides. All right, just like that. And then it should be 20 feet from the center of the road. So let's do another offset. 20 feet from the center line. That is why we needed the center line. All right, so in Jamaica, they use the center line at the front of the building or the front of the property. I'm not sure if that's how they do it in other countries, but the reason for this is so that if in the future the government decide to widen the street, everyone on this particular street would have the amount of space necessary for that future development. All right, so this is very important. As we can see here is that we have a space within the property. All right, I'm going to actually highlight this space using the setback layer that we created earlier. So I'm going to use the setback layer, and I'm going to go to polyline and draw just an outline around this space. All right, like so. Enter. And then I'm going to actually delete or erase these guys now because I don't need them anymore. All right, enter. So here we have the red box telling us that we can only build within these boundaries. Even though you have your whole property, you buy your land, but guess what? You're only allowed to build within the setbacks, and this is very important, and there are many reasons. All right, for this particular property, let's say you have a river running behind it. If you watch the video on how to draw this, you would have seen that there's a river running behind here, and so they want to ensure that you build far away enough, because if the river should, let's say, take away a piece of the land, then your house would be safe. All right, we explained the front already, and also on the sides they want to make sure that you have adequate space away from the boundary so that your building doesn't affect your neighbor, and vice versa. So it's different in other areas though. So in some areas you're allowed to build as close to the boundary, especially if it is a condensed area like cities and so on. So it all varies. You just need to find out what the setbacks are in whatever or whichever area you're going to be doing the building for. All right, so we need to ensure that whatever we're going to design can fit within this space here, and we're talking about the main building itself. So if you have another like a accessory building, that's different. That can be placed much closer or anywhere else on the property. For instance, if you have an attached garage, or let's say a dog house or pig pen, whatever the case may be, those other things can be anywhere else. But when it comes to the main building itself, it has to be placed within the setbacks. All right, so this is where part one of this video would end. This is what you would do before you start to draw anything. All right, so let's move over into the second half of this video. All right, so now that we have everything here and we have the setback, and what I'm going to do is to place the building inside of the setback area. All right, but first let me connect these back together. So I'm going to use the join command and just join these guys back together so I can get like a single object like that. Good. All right, so we're going to go over to our project navigator and we're going to XREF the ground floor into this drawing. All right, so over here we can see that we have the ground floor, and what I'm going to do is I don't want to move this drawing because this is an X reference file. Try not to move this. All right, what I'm going to do is to move all of this over to the building. So I'm going to say, all right, use a move tool, and I'm going to move it from this edge right here all the way over to the edge of this building right there. And notice that there's a slight Something is off right there. I think this should go there, right, like that. All right, so I'm gonna move this over, and I'm gonna drag it from this corner all the way over. Let me turn off my ortho mode so that it lines up with the edge of this building. So just like that, I know that my walls are within the setback area. All right, if the roof hang over a little bit, that's fine. Don't worry about the roof. What you should worry about are the walls. You want to make sure that your walls are within the setback area. If you have a pavement going over, that's fine, but the main building itself has to be within the setback area. Now let's take a closer look and to make sure that everything is within the setback. Now if I zoom in here, you can see that we have a breach right in this corner here. And that's because this side of the property is actually running at a slight angle. So as it goes up, we can see that it gets closer and closer. So I don't think this amount of breach would put you in much of a trouble. All right, so what I'm going to do is to move the property over some more. So you want to make sure that you don't move the building. So make sure you highlight that, if that's a word. So I'm going to move, and this time I'm going to move it using the ortho mode as well. So I'm going to just move it over a little bit like so. All right, so that this side is now within the setbacks, and now also, if you notice, this part of the wall is also within. By the way, guys, you are allowed to use the entire space. All right, so if you want to make the building as big as the space itself, it's up to you. But of course, I want to have a driveway here and plant a couple trees and so on and so forth. So we're gonna leave it right there. We know that we're in the safe zone, and from here we are going to hide this layer because now I'm done with the setbacks. So I'm gonna just hide it, escape. Let me make the 0 layer active, and I'm gonna hide this layer. I think this is also on the setback layer, which is not what I want. I want to put this on the 0 layer. So let's get that out of the way. All right, so now that we have everything, let's look at it in 3D and see what we have. All right, so far you can see that we have something that looks not look too shabby. All right, so now what I'm going to do is to add the driveway, and let's see where we get from there. So we're going to shift over to pavement layer, and we're going to do some drawing. So I'm going to draw from the edge here. This is where I want my driveway to stop. I mean, you can make it your own, 11 feet wide, maybe. Could go a little wider. Pull this all the way down to the side of the road, like that. And then I'm gonna give another line. I'm gonna draw a nice little front step out pavement here, maybe 6 feet out, and come across like this. And then I'm gonna just line that up with that column and bring it down to the curb here. All right, so this is gonna be the driveway. So I'll drive up, park here, step out, go inside, do what I gotta do, and so on. All right, and I have a nice little step on area here. What we're gonna do is to kind of give it a little curve. So let's use the fillet tool, and let's say we want the radius to be 12 inches, and we're gonna do multiple because we're gonna have multiple of these. So let's give these edges some fillet, just, you know, make it look somewhat, give it a little flare. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna use a 3 feet radius for this portion, 3 feet, and I don't know the standard. If you know the standard, drop it down below what the standard curve should be. But I'm gonna use 3 feet. I think the car or vehicle can make that turn. If you notice, it took away the line on this side, so I'm gonna have to draw another line and do the same thing again. And then of course I'm gonna have to close this back right here. This line and this line should be on the road layer. All right, so we have the road, we have the pavement coming in, park here, and we have a nice little front step out here. What I'm gonna do is to give this curb a thickness, and I'm going to give it 4 inches. I think that's the typical width of a curb. So let's do the offset command, and we're going to say 4 inches. No, I think I did 4 feet there. Let's go again, 4, enter, and we're going to just give this a nice little thickness to just to make it look something like, you know, like a curb or like a edge. You don't have to do this again, you know. Just go on Google, look, and there are many ways to make your site plan look nice. All right, so I'm going to leave it there, and then what I'm going to also do is to draw a box around this using the box tool. Of course, if you had an irregular shape building, you would want to use the polyline tool, but since this is a rectangle, I'm going to just use a rectangle tool. And the reason I'm doing this is because I can now detach the house, or unload it rather, and I would have this area telling me where exactly the house is located. All right, at this point we can go ahead and place our trees, our cars, and so on. But before I do that, what I'm gonna do is to hatch these areas. So we're on the pavement, so good. So what I'm gonna do is to go to the hatch tool. This is just to add some additional texture and patterns to your drawing to make it look, you know, good. You don't have to do this. So let's go down and click on the drop down here, and from here you can decide, all right, is it going to be a concrete pavement, or is it going to be some sort of brick layout? It's up to you to decide. So we have a nice little brick layout here, or we could use this herringbone pattern style. All right, so let's try this one, and I'm going to make the pavement of that style. So I'm going to do here and here. As you can see, we have a nice little pavement right there, and then we could do the grass as well. So let's say we go down to the vegetation layer, and we're going to hatch again, and this time we're going to select something that says, or something that look more like a grass, like this, and we're going to say, all right then. Now this is very, very fine, so we could actually make it a little bit bigger by changing the number here. So let's say we made this 10. All right, we'll go ahead and click, and that looks a little, you know, not bad. So we're going to work with that for now, and so far we have something that looks like that. And at this point we can go ahead and drop on some additional things like trees, cars, tables, whatever you feel like you want to add. Of course, I'm just going to be doing the very basic on here, and also you would want to show your drainage layout and your septic tank, your manholes. All of those will be shown on this drawing. That's how we do it in Jamaica. In other places, what they would do is to have a different site plan for different services, but for this we're going to drop everything on here. All right, so what we're going to do is to add some trees, and of course if there were trees on the site already and you want to keep that tree, then you would want to represent it on the site plan in the similar location. All right, but for this one we're going to plant some brand new trees, so let's go and find some trees. All right, now I'm going to actually use some 3D trees. We can use 2D. I would actually recommend you use the 2D ones as well, just so that it doesn't take up too much power off of your computer. All right, so we're going to the content browser as usual, and we go down to site, and we're going to planting, and from here you see all the different types of trees. These ones that look 3D are actually in 3D, so I'm going to choose probably like this one. I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to drop probably one here. All right, and you don't want to plant it on the edge, because guess what, it's going to go all the way over into people's property and that kind of thing. So you don't want to have your trees growing all over in people's place. All right, even though I know some of you love to do that kind of stuff. All right, so I'm just dropping some trees all over the place. I'm gonna try and drop another type, maybe this one. Drop this one probably like right here on the front, and then let me see if I can find another type A. I'm gonna drop one more tree in the back, probably right there. All right, so these are all the trees I'm gonna plant, and guess what, we can take a look at it in 3D, and this is what they would actually look like. All right, so I'm not gonna do anything else here. 2D. Actually, what I'm gonna do is add a car. So I'm gonna go back to site, and then I'm gonna go to basic vehicle, and you have 2D vehicles as well as 3D. Let's go over. You even have trucks for those of you who are truck people. So I'm gonna drop this car here, or maybe the station wagon. No, compact car. It's a one-man house, a one-man drive. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to just rotate this 90 degrees, and I'm going to drop it right in the spot here. And just like that, we have the car. Beautiful. And now we have everything in 3D, just like that. All right. And if I go to conceptual, we can have a better look at what this would look like. All right, and of course these are the only things I'm going to be doing in 3D. You could actually model the pavement and the curb and try to get everything all 3D. All right, but I'm going to leave it right here because this is enough for a drawing to be submitted to Parish Council. What I'm going to do is to reload the house. So I'm going to go to my X references and reload so you can see what it actually looks like with the house. I'm going to say perspective so we can have an idea what everything would look like when it's all done. All right, so as I turn this around so you can see what we have, in the next video I will be combining all the views, so the foundation plus the ground floor and the site. I'm going to put everything together, and then we can start to create our elevation views, sectional views, and plan views, and all of those. All right, and of course I know that really and truly, if you look, the ground is on the same level as the finished floor level inside, which is not supposed to be the case. All right, this should be 6 inches down, which we're going to be addressing also in that video. All right, so don't worry about that. For this, I just want to see how it would look, and it looks just about what we wanted. And of course, I expect you to customize yours the way you want. All right, so if you want a pool in the front of your house, or if you want I don't know, a water fountain, whatever, just make it your own. Do it how you want to do it. All right, now for the plan view, this is what I should have shown you. If you notice, we're still seeing inside of the building. If it is that you want to not see inside of the building, or you just want to look at the roof itself, of course what we would do is to raise the global cut plane from 3 feet 6 to anything above the roof. So let's say 20 feet, that would be above the roof. All right, and what that would do is to raise the cut plane from below to above the roof. So now this is something more like what you would want to see on a site plan. If you don't want to see inside the building, we can always move it to conceptual or hidden. So let's do that. And just like that, we can see that we're having a bird's eye view looking straight down on the building or on the property. All right, so later on, when we start to add annotations and dimensions and so on and so to this drawing, we will be adding the drainage layout, and also a lot of other information will be added to this drawing. All right, so that's the end of this video. What was done today was just enough to get us through the gate, and I really didn't want to make this video any longer. So I hope that you learned something. Just explore, all right, and make your site plan look as unique and especially how you would like it. And go up on Google and look on some other site plans and get some ideas, some inspiration. So I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, you know the drill already. Drop them in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button, and yeah, you have a good week.